Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with Michelle. I'm your host, Michelle Hart, your #1 nutritionist and fat loss specialist. This show is all about how to eat, move, and live to have a fit and healthy life. Today's topic is all about blood work. So what you're going to learn today are three things. The first one is how often you should get your blood work done. The second thing is why you should get your blood work done. And the third thing is how to interpret your blood work when you get it. So I just want to preface this with, I am not a medical doctor. I am a clinical nutritionist, and I have this interest in optimizing health for myself and for my clients. And so this whole show is all about how to empower you to be proactive with your health so that you can live, eat, and breathe a fit and healthy life. So I first actually got interested in blood work in 2015 when I saw Jim Marlowe speak about how to interpret your blood work. He actually worked with Dr. Mercola, who is one of the well-known health experts. And so I wanted to sit in with this workshop. It was in Pennsylvania. It was a Weston A. Price conference. And what he shared blew me away. So that was in 2015. So from that information, I started to gather more and more information about blood work and how it can reveal so many things. So after that, I was trained by Dr. Dixon Tom, who's a naturopathic doctor and a biological dentist, and he added more layers into what we can learn about our blood work. And then I finished up with this book, Your Blood Doesn't Lie, and James Lavelle, he is a pharmacist, and he wrote this really good book about the markers, what they mean, and if they're out of whack, what to do. So with all this, I've pulled together some information. I know it's really going to help you. So if you get a pen and paper, I think you're going to need to take some notes. So again, my goal with you is to empower you so that you can eat, move, and live to have a fit and healthy life. And what better way than to collect data? So get information that can actually help pivot your way to health, okay? So let's start with how often you should be getting your blood work. Well, the first, I would suggest that anyone over 35 should be getting their blood work at least once a year. If you're over 40 or 50, we're gonna really want to get that done. And why we're going to want to get our blood work done is because of three main reasons. The first one is it's going to give you a baseline, basically where you're at with your health. And then from there, once you have the baseline, you can course correct as things move on. If you start to feel these signs and symptoms that aren't making sense, then you can get your blood work done and look to see your baseline to see where you're falling off the rails. So that's one. The other one is it can really help motivate you to course correct. So maybe you need some, real data that doesn't lie, and it could actually show you what really you need to do, because it can really help you with future health. Because when you know where you're at, you know the healthy markers, you know where you need to be, and you know you're empowered with the right information. And so I also believe that it's a form of self-love, and it's a form of I love my body. I love my body, and I want to take care of my body. And let's start with collecting some data that can really help with getting you to where you want to be. So I'm going to start actually with offering my cheat sheet on even what markers to ask your doctor for, because quite often they don't do full. They're not very comprehensive with what they're asking for. And so if you give them a full list, then you're more likely to get more data that can actually help you understand your what's happening in your body greater. Instead of just piecing it, you're actually getting more information. And that's really what we want, so that you can empower your health. So I do have this cheat sheet available for anyone who's interested. All they need to do is join Fit and Healthy with Michelle Facebook group, and I'm happy to send over the cheat sheet so you're empowered with the right markers to ask your doctor. And how to language this with your doctor is make an appointment and say, listen, You can look at your, your history and your mother, your father, first, relatives, and to see what's happening with them. And if their health is declining, then we know that, some of it is genetic. But you can, diet and lifestyle can really move forward in, shifting some things so that you don't fall prey to a lot of these conditions. And so if you approach it that way, and also the other way is to let them know, like, listen, you're wanting to be proactive with your health and you want to, optimize it. And so once we get these markers done that are like more than what is typical, then you have a better idea of what's going on. Okay. So that's kind of the languaging around that. So I'm going to actually share my results, and I did just get my blood work back. And I just want to start by saying, when you look at your blood work, you don't want to look at just individual markers and think that that's all you need to do. You actually want to look at how they all, like the patterns and how they group together, and not just individual, if it shows high, supplement or take a medication. No, but what's really going on in your body. And so I'm going to share kind of what I learned about my body, and to help you when you look at yours to look at it maybe differently and to help you with some tools. So the first one is white blood cell count. So this is really important because you want to make sure it's within a healthy range. So you want it between 5 and 7.5. Now mine's showing a little low, it's 4.2. So what that means is my body needs a stronger army to be able to defend it from outside pathogens. And so I want it, because that is your white blood cell, that's your army. So I have to look deeper, why is it low? And so we know that there's five reasons why white blood cell count could be low. The first one, it could be a chronic viral infection. The second reason, it could be bacterial infection. The third thing, it could be a pancreatic insufficiency. So you're not really releasing the enzymes to break down your foods. The fourth one is immune compromise. So my immune system's a little bit down, and could be heavy metals, but also it could be low zinc. And so for me, when I looked at all that, I don't have any of the above, but I do have low zinc. And how do I know that? Well, when you look at your blood work, there is a marker called alkaline phosphatase, and it's on your blood work. So you can look, and if it's showing low, that actually can be an indication of low zinc status. And so really so that's one reason. The other one is because you can also get not only the test from the doctor on blood work, but you can also get a micronutrient test to show you more detail on what's going on inside. And that's what the SpectraCell micronutrient test actually does. It looks to see what actual micronutrients you're low in. So it is a different test, but it's when you couple the two together, micronutrient test with the blood work from the doctor, then you're getting more of an accurate picture about really what's going on under the hood and what to do about it. So when I tested my micronutrient test with my micronutrient, and I found actually that my zinc was a little low. You can see on the highlight there, it was a little low. So here, this actually piggybacks to what my other blood work is saying with my white blood cell. So that's what I mean by diving a little bit deeper. It's not like, oh, I'm freaking out, my white blood cell count is low. No, but why is it low? Oh, because I'm low in zinc. Oh, okay, well then obviously to course correct, I want to eat foods that are high in zinc, and those would be things like oysters or red meat, or I could supplement with zinc as well. And so likely I'm going to do both. And then I'm going to retest. Okay, so if you're going to start to intervene, you also want to retest to make sure that the markers are moving in your favor. So yeah, so that was really interesting to know. So that's something for you to look at. So we talked about the white blood cell, and now we're going to look at the iron. And so historically, my ferritin has been low. But when I asked my doctor to get my blood work done, I didn't just ask for ferritin, which is stored iron. I actually asked for more markers so I could get a better idea of what's going on with my iron. And so what I found was I also asked for, just iron. I asked for TIBC. So the binding capacity of iron, and also iron saturation. So once I pulled all these markers together and I saw that ferritin was low, it was actually 14. You want it between 40 and 80. So mine was low, but that's stored iron, because really when I looked at my iron, my circulating iron and all the other markers, it's fine. So I have enough iron circulating in my body, I just don't have extra reserves. So again, we can start with just eating iron-rich foods. What are they? They're organ meats, they're red meats, and they are oysters. Also, they're really high in iron. So I am going to start eating more of that, make sure I'm digesting it, and then I will take supplement with a little bit of iron. And then again, I'm gonna retest in about 3 months, because I should see my iron stores go up, okay? So again, if you're gonna, you know, intervene, you're gonna also wanna make sure that you're retesting to make sure you're in the right direction, all right? So that's the iron. The other thing about iron is if you're seeing the numbers being low, then actually you want to dive a little deeper also by looking at your B12 status, your folic acid as well, and your copper. So those all have an interplay with iron. So it's not just iron, it's, oh, why is my ferritin low? Oh, okay, well, let's look at B12. Maybe B12 is low. If it is, that's pernicious anemia. That means that you're going to want to make sure that you look at that marker. So you've got to ask for it and see where your levels are at. If they're low, you are tired all the time. You have brain fog, and you're living suboptimally. So you want to make sure that you get that done. So moving forward, I am also going to look at when you get your blood work done, there's what we call differentials. And so what they do is they differentiate your white blood cells into neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, and basophils. These are really important to look at because they can actually see if there's food allergies, parasites, any infection going on. So you want to get those done as well. And so for me, my neutrophils were actually a little low. Mine are 2.4, but you want it between 4 and 6. So I look to see, well, you know, why is that going on? Why is that? Well, we know that zinc is important for immune function. So it could be just I don't have enough building block to actually mount a proper immune response, and that could be what's lowering my neutrophils. The eosinophils, I want you to pay attention to that marker because if it's too high, it can indicate a food allergy or a parasite. So this is like a really good test blood doesn't lie, and it will actually show you if you have food allergies or parasites to then course correct. Okay, well, what are the common food allergies? Well, we know that wheat would be one. The other one would be, commercialized dairy. And then of course, sugar would be the third. And then obviously processed food would be an allergic response to the body because of all the chemicals. So it may, again, it's going to motivate you to go, oh, okay, well, that's what's driving my energy down. Well, maybe I should look cleaning up my diet because it's showing that I have food allergies. So those are the common ones to start with. There's other ones as well, like strawberries and shellfish. And eggs can be one as well, but really just start with the main ones first and then go from there. So yeah, we talked about that. So eosinophil, so you don't want it over, you actually don't want it over 0.1. So pay attention to that marker, all right? Now I'm gonna move over to one of my favorite areas, which is blood glucose management. This is so important for you to live a long and healthy life because we don't want to see these blood sugar surges, because what happens is over time that starts to cause real havoc in the body. For one thing, you're going to have fat storage because you have these, it affects the hormones in the body, which stores fat. The other one is it also really affects your mood. So when blood sugar's down, it affects your mood, blood sugar's up. So your mood swings are really, really high. And it can also, it's like a form of inflammation in the body, and you need to keep the inflammation at bay. And so you want to keep that blood sugar balanced, because over time, if you don't, that can lead to things like diabetes type 2 and then maybe even diabetes type 1. So we don't want to get to that point. So getting your blood sugar tested is really, really wise idea. So that one I really pay attention to. So the hemoglobin A1C is one that we're going to want to look at, and that gives a 3-month average on how you're handling your blood sugar. So really your marker should be under 5. So mine's 4.7. I do a really good job with balancing my blood sugar because I pay attention to it, and I make sure that what I'm doing is balancing my blood sugar. And it really has been working because I looked at my previous blood work to see the trends, and I'm always really, really good with my blood sugar. So the next marker I want to talk about is sodium and potassium. So what I want to look at there is actually the ratio sodium to potassium, because when you can divide the sodium into the potassium, you're going to want a ratio of over 30 and under 40. So and what that actually shares, what that tells you is your adrenal health. And so if you are over 40, you're highly, highly stressed. If you're under 30, your adrenals are under functioning. And so for me, mine's 29, so it's just almost at the 30 mark, which means I need to really pay attention to my stress so that I can regenerate and not push my body as hard, really, because I need to replenish, support my adrenals, so I don't want to keep driving them. So, you know, that's something to pay attention to. And then when I get my blood work done again, I'll look at the marker, but 29 is not so bad. But it, you know, it does help me pay attention. Okay, so next I'm going to go into I'm going to get into the cholesterol in a bit, but I want to talk about your inflammatory markers. So again, if you're highly inflaming, it's hard to be healthy because your body always thinks that it has an infection and all the energy goes there. So you want to really pay attention to these inflammatory markers. So the one that you're going to want to look at is the highly sensitive CRP. Not CRP, but the highly sensitive. The highly sensitive CRP is a more accurate marker of inflammation. And so you want it under 1. And so mine's 0.18. So I know that's consistently been that way for many, many months, many years actually. And so again, I'm doing a good job with my blood sugar balance. I'm doing a good job with keeping inflammation down. So those are really important markers if you want to eat, move, and live to have a fit and healthy life. Like you want to feel good, right? So that's a really, really good marker. And then you want to pay attention to vitamin D. So best time to take vitamin D to test it is in the winter, because that's going to be at its lowest point. The summer, you're outside, it's sunlight, you're likely not going to be low, but the winter is when you want to make sure you get it tested. And so mine's 74, so it's actually perfect. So anything between 40 and 80 is ideal. And so I've done a really good job with the vitamin D. How have I done that? I've been outside a lot in the summer. And so you can bank up good vitamin D reserves over the summer. And then you slowly start to, because in the winter we have less sun, but you bank it during the summer so that you can, you know, have enough over the winter time to get you through. Because if it's low, we know that there's a risk for all sorts of infections. And especially the C word right now, they're showing that it's linked to low vitamin D. And also cancer would be another one, low vitamin D status. So you want to make sure that the vitamin D is optimal. Okay, so we talked about that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get into the cholesterol, so the cardiovascular markers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of share something which are these risk factors that I learned from Dr. Dixon Tom, all about cardiovascular. So again, we don't want to look at like each individual one and freak out if it shows high. No, look at the whole picture. You've got to look at the ratio. So again, get your pen and paper and start to make some notes. So these are there's like 14 risk factors for a coronary heart disease, okay? So the first one is when you get your blood work done and you get your highly sensitive CRP, you want it below 1. If it's elevated, that is a marker for that is a risk factor for coronary heart disease. The second one is if your albumin levels, it'll be on your list. If your albumin levels are showing that they're low, that's also a risk factor. Homocysteine, that is definitely a risk factor for cardiovascular disease. So you want it under 7. I've seen under 8. Mine's 7, so I feel really good about that. But you want it below 7 or 8. Anything more than that, you know that you have a cardiovascular risk, and we need to pay attention to that. Also, when you're looking at your cholesterol ratios and markers, you want to look at HDL over total cholesterol. So HDL over total cholesterol. So you get that ratio and it should be above 27%. If it is, then you're actually, that's good. But if it's lower, it's not good. And so when I look at mine, mine is 50%. So my cardiovascular system's doing really well. Why? I have to say, because my blood sugar is balanced and my inflammation is low. So those are the two main markers that you want to really pay attention to keep your cardiovascular system optimal. Okay, so we've got it. Okay, so triglycerides over HDL. So triglycerides are blood fats. You want that ratio to be less than 2, okay? And so I know for me, mine are like 1.13. So mine's like really, really low. So that's good. So again, you want it less than 2. Now you look at the next ratio, which is cholesterol over HDL. So you want it 3.6 or below. So for me, mine is, mine's like 2. So again, these are really, really positive numbers. But you know, you should really check yours. So fasting blood sugar, again, we looked at blood sugar. Mine's optimal. You want to pay attention to the blood sugar and make sure that the hemoglobin A1C is under 5. You also want to make sure that you can ask for some extra markers, which I highly, highly recommend. And one is really to pay attention to, okay? So these are some extra markers you can ask for. I know I asked for them and I got my results. So you want lipoprotein small a. So you definitely want to get that tested if you are at risk of cardiovascular disease, because that gives you more information than just the cholesterol. So what it is I got mine done, and mine historically has been high, and it's a genetic marker. So this was passed down by my grandfather, and because he had coronary artery disease when he was actually quite young. So I actually have this genetic SNP that I have to really pay attention to, because if not, I could fall prey of a heart attack. And so I actually had this tested through again, SpectraCell tests this. So SpectraCell can test these extra cardiovascular markers for you to dive deeper into how you're doing, especially with these genetic markers. And so once I got it done, actually my marker was really high. It was like scary high. It was over 900, and that's a real high risk, because anything, so basically anything 30% or more than what's healthy has a six-fold greater risk than just looking at cholesterol of a heart attack. So again, this was not diet and lifestyle related. This was passed on to me. So I had to like quickly do something so that I could still really, live a long and healthy life. And what I did was, there is this Mark Houston. He is an MD. And he specializes in cardiovascular health. He's the one to listen to. This is his life's work. And I actually got his protocol to keep my lipoprotein little a lower, how to lower it through supplements, because I had to. It wasn't a diet and lifestyle thing. It was actually a supplement thing that had to keep it lower so that I didn't fall prey of a stroke or a heart attack. And so I started following his protocol, and after I got my retest, I halved my amounts. Like my marker was like half of what it was. So that's really good. It went from over 900 to just over 500. And really incrementally, it takes time to lower it. So his stuff really worked. So I know that I'll stay on his protocols. I'll keep doing what I'm doing. Why? Because I retested and it shows that I'm moving in the right direction, like really well. So I feel very empowered to know that I can make that shift with these particular supplements. One of them is called niacin. The other one is carnitine, and then berberine. So those are kind of the main ones, but there's a few others that you'll need to take with the right amounts. But just so you know, this is not like a death sentence. This is like, oh, I'm going to empower myself with the right information so that I can, support my body and then retest to see if it's working. So that's one you really want to pay attention to, okay? When it comes to cardiovascular health. Lipoprotein little a. The other one that you're going to want to look at is lipoprotein A1. So that's the other one that you want to make sure that it can actually, that is highly correlated with how you're eating and moving. And so that one, the marker actually helps clear cholesterol from blood, so it doesn't clot. And so you don't want to, you want it to be in normal range. I know for mine was really, really, really good. So, but again, you want to look at more than just cholesterol. You want to look at these other markers, especially if you're concerned about cardiovascular health, because that's your ticker. I mean, that's also your energy, right? And the other one is lipoprotein B. So those are, so if it's out of whack, it'll actually deposit into the arterial walls, and it can cause an occlusion, and then that's when you have a stroke. So, but again, you can like get these markers done, see where you're at, and know if you need to course correct. So I thought that was really, really interesting. Okay. Now I'm just going to end with thyroid. So yeah, so I got my thyroid markers done. Now you don't want to just get TSH. That doesn't tell you enough. Okay, you want to get all the markers done. So free T3, free T4, reverse T3. This actually tells you a lot more than just TSH. And so TSH, you want to make sure when you do get it though, it's 0.1 to 1.5. So I know mine's 1.17. So mine's doing really, really well. But then again, I got the extra markers done. So I got my free T3 and free T4. Well, free T4, so that's the hormone that's not bound. So it's actually out there doing its job. And so you want enough of that to do its job. What is it? Your metabolism. And so we want it to be between 15.7 and 22.78. Well, mine was 12.8. So mine was actually low. And then my free T3, we want that between 5.22 and 6.45. Well, mine was 3.6. So when I look at this, I know my TSH is fine. So I'm producing enough, but really where it's falling off the rails is my adrenals. And I knew that because I did my sodium potassium ratio and it showed my adrenals were a little bit down. Well, the adrenals are completely tied to how well your free T3 and free T4 are going to be. And so I know that my thyroid's healthy, it's just my adrenals need some help. So that's what I mean by like layering it and really diving deeper to really what's going on instead of just supporting thyroid. That wouldn't have helped anything. It would have been a waste of my time and a waste of my money. So, but I know the adrenals need it. Yeah, because I'm a hard driver. I know that. So I will course correct. The other thing is when your free T3 is low, it's an indication of low selenium or you need to eat seaweed. That will really help to bring the free T3 up. Okay, because that's really helpful for that particular marker so that when I do, I know that my energy will even go up, especially with the iron being a little bit low, the stored iron. I know that that can lead to a little bit more fatigue, but really it's not that bad. But you know, do you want to be bad or do you want to be like optimal? I know for me, I want to be optimal, and that's why I'm sharing this with you, and I'm sharing my actual lab work with you. So I hope that's been empowering. And I guess the biggest lessons are, first of all, get your blood work done. And that's my highest recommendation. The second thing is get a full panel instead of just getting a few markers. And you know, it's just a conversation with your doctor. And again, to get the full panel done, you want to know what to get done. Just, you know, I can send you my cheat sheet. You'll have it in your hands. You can have a conversation with your doctor and say, listen, like my family history is this. I want to be optimal. I want to get these markers done because I know I want to get more information about what's going on in my body. And I'm sure my doctor was awesome. He got it all done. And I hope that you get that done as well. And also, you know, instead of guessing, why not test? Because blood work doesn't lie. And although it is a snapshot, okay, it's a snapshot of what's happening now. It's not like a 3 or 4 month thing. It's what's happening now. So, but it still is empowering to know what's going on. So when you couple that with the micronutrient test, which actually will know, the micronutrient test will test how you've been the past 6 months. And the micronutrient test will test nutrients that are inside the cell. The regular blood work doesn't. It's outside, it's extracellular. So both are important. So you collect the data from both. And so do that, and you'll be surprised at what you find out. And if you need help reading your blood work, we can start with a conversation. I can help you through that. But really, I do recommend you get it done. And thank you so much for watching this. And I hope that you can share this with others that are interested in getting healthy. And, let's test and not guess. Let's be empowered with this information. Let's be proactive instead of waiting for something to happen. Small things lead to big things. We don't want the big things. We can start with, supporting our bodies now with this kind of information. So thank you so much for joining. And I fumbled a little bit only because I didn't practice this. I just wanted to share the information. I just got my blood work yesterday. And so I didn't want to leave you hanging, and I wanted to empower you with getting yours done as well, so that we can all be fit and healthy together. So thanks for joining, and please, again, share this with others, and please join my group so I can send you my cheat sheet. Have a good day.